Barbados, as I greet you in this, my first statement as the new Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, I do so with full appreciation of the priority need for us to return safely, responsibly, and urgently to face-to-face school. And I do so entirely respectful of the need for the ministry to consult with our educational partners on how best we can do so. The past 23 months of COVID-19 pandemic, which has forced countries across the globe to rethink teaching and learning, has not been without its challenges for Barbados. Challenges to the healthcare system, to our children, to our parents, to principals, to teachers, to service staff, to businesses. The list goes on. Moving classes to the online platform has not been ideal, even though it was our best option at the time. Moving the physical classroom to a virtual space provided our public health officials with the opportunity to manage and gain a better understanding of emerging COVID-19 variants, including those that are most highly transmissible. To date, we have weathered the Alpha variant, the Delta variant, and we continue to weather the highly transmissible Omicron variant. I take this opportunity to thank the staff of the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, to thank our principals and teachers, our support staff, our parents, our guardians, and the students who have shown resilience in the face of challenge. Your ability to rise above the swells of uncertainty, frustration, and let's keep it real, sometimes anger, has set a high bar for what we can overcome if we choose to work together as partners in education. Please know that while the Ministry of Education is committed to ensuring the health and safety of our students, our educators, and our support staff by following the guidance given by our Ministry of Health and Wellness, we recognize the need to ready all systems for the safe reopening of schools. You may recall that the ministry had signaled a proposed date for the resumption of face-to-face school of February 21st, 2022. And it is with determined effort that we are collaborating across government and will continue to engage all of the shareholders in our country's educational success to make the road to the return to face-to-face school on that date a smooth one. To this end, the Ministry of Education has been developing a roadmap to guide the safe return to school. This roadmap, it outlines the physical requirements and support systems that are needed for the safest return. It was developed by the ministry in conjunction with the Ministry of Health and Wellness, principals of public and private schools, teachers of public and private schools, the Barbados Union of Teachers, the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, the Association of Principals of Public Primary Schools, the Barbados Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, and the National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations. We believe that we must all be on this road together. These partners in education are regularly updated on developments and requirements for the reopening of face-to-face school, on the status of the COVID-19 situation in our country, and on the recommendations given by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. To date, the Ministry of Education has had 5 meetings with our partners over a 5-month period. In fact, just earlier today, we extended an invitation to these said partners to continue our engagement during the next week. Our intention, in the best interests of our children, is the finalization of the roadmap with a view to both public and private schools resuming face-to-face classes on February 21st. A press briefing will be held after our consultations. Now, while the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training has been evaluating the health risks associated with the resumption of face-to-face school, we are also cognizant of other risks, including, though not limited to, the learning loss due to the inability of some children to self-regulate, the inability of some students to access classes due to lack of devices, lack of internet services, lack of electricity, and the challenges associated with lack of supervision and lack of parental support. Among the various risks we must also take into consideration are to parents and guardians who have had to work reduced work hours or in some cases forfeit employment altogether to support their children or wards at home. We are also mindful of the fact that businesses are under strain, holding jobs open for employees whose parental obligations require them to be absent for indefinite periods. There are other mental health, economic and social risks, which I will not get into at this time. Suffice to say, the pandemic is multifaceted in its impact, and the consequences are far-reaching. It is with this understanding that the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training had attempted to reopen school on the 10th and the 4th of January this year. But due to high transmission and positivity rates, it was not advisable to do so. For instance, between January 1st and 14th, there were over 5,000 COVID positive cases, which represented a 265% increase in cases over the period. With this rate and the high number of persons in home isolation, it was recommended that the schools remain closed to reduce risk. The Ministry of Education has made every effort to address the challenges associated with online education, and if we are to be fair, has made commendable strides in managing the situation. However, some of our children, including the most vulnerable children, continue to be negatively impacted due to the lack of face-to-face interaction. Barbados, we know that the road to face-to-face school has been long, with many a winding path, but know that we are closer to the return to face-to-face school than we were before. On behalf of this government, I sincerely thank you for your patience and even more for your forbearance as we strive earnestly to get our children back to face-to-face school safely, responsibly, and urgently. I thank you.